Good morning, everyone, to our webinar, 3 ways how companies can start preparing for CSRD. Can I see some thumbs up and everyone, if you can hear us well and how it's going? Yeah, perfect. That's good to hear. My name is Skadi Mobius. I'm CEO and co-founder of Move to Impact, and I'm here with my colleague.
Hi, I'm Jesse Bruinswils. I'm a project manager at Move to Impact. I'm responsible for the CSRD project.
Yes, and we are here to tell you more how you actually can tackle this, like corporate sustainability reporting directive, this non-financial reporting for your company. And we will tell you a lot about that. First, who is Move to Impact and why are we standing here? Move to Impact is a consultancy that combines data-driven consultants with sustainability consultants to help companies really merge this transition to include like IT structure to support non-financial reporting and CSRD, and really help you advise on how to connect financial, social, ecological, and IT system basically with each other in your company. So therefore, we are proud to basically help companies in their CSRD process. I want to tell you more about that in the next slides. Let's move to the agenda. If you have any questions during the presentation, just put your question in the chat. So you can directly ask it, and we can see whether we directly answer it in there or afterwards to tell you more all about CSRD and answer all your burning questions. Today, we will tell you what is CSRD precisely again, what do we see as a timeline with our clients we are helping, frequently asked questions we get from them, because currently, we help 32 companies move through the CSRD process. And then we basically show the 3 ways how companies can prepare for CSRD. One in a consulting way, one with digital support, and the other one as automated materiality analysis tool, where you keep it a little bit smaller, but start with the right steps. So I would say, let's dive in it.
Yes. So in short, what is the CSRD? Obviously, you have already heard of this because you are here in the webinar. That's a very good first step. The CSRD is the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, and it's a directive from the European Union that is specifically focused on the large companies. So more than 250 people personnel, total balance sheet of 20 million, or a total yearly revenue of 40 million. And then what does it cover? It covers everything inside of a company or a holding company that would also usually be covered by your financial reporting. So basically, it's an addition to the traditional financial reporting. So because of CSRD, these companies now also have to report on ecological aspects, governance aspects, and social aspects. Like I said, it's an addition to the financial reporting, and already there was some non-financial reporting. This was for listed companies, companies on the stock exchange, and that's now replaced also by the CSRD. So in that sense, it is replacing a lot of already existing single policies and combining them into one new policy called CSRD. Why is the European Union doing this? Obviously, it's to achieve Green Deal targets, and it's not only for the European Union. It's also, for example, for investors, because CSRD makes you write a report at the end of the year, and this report can be shared with relevant stakeholders like investors, like banks, etc., etc. So it's not just a government exercise; it's also something that, for example, shareholders and stakeholders will be able to see. Depending on how open your company is. But of course, if you're a listed company, the information is open.
Yeah, and it makes you just more trustworthy for them, because you show your actions in numbers, and obviously numbers hide not basically the trust of your company.
Yes, so in that sense, it creates transparency. And it provides standard guidelines, because previously every company could report sustainability in a way that they wanted. So everybody was showing different numbers, and this provides a standardized way of reporting on sustainability. So in that way, it also helps with practical steps on how to report. The last important step that you need to know about CSRD is that it will be checked by an external auditor. Just like the financial reporting is checked by an external auditor, CSRD will be checked by those same auditors. So that's an extra way of guaranteeing that the process is done right. So what is the timeline for CSRD? Most of the standards have already been published. We are now waiting for the sector-specific standards. So the standards that count for all companies are already published, like I said, and the sector-specific standards are more for companies in specific sectors. We are waiting for those, and they will probably be published in Q3 of 2023. And then in 2024, already the listed companies have to report on CSRD. In 2025, this will be for also the case for the large companies that are not listed. And then it's expected that in 2007, there will also be some sort of light form of CSRD for small and medium companies. And I think what's important to note here is that these dates are hard. You have to report on it in 2025 and 2026, for example. But there is some sort of transition period. So you do not have to report about everything. You don't have to be complete exactly in 2026. But it's important you know where you stand.
Yeah, precisely. You really have to know on each of the aspects on basically the checklist of the CSRD where you're standing and that you're moving. Because one of the transitions we will show also an example timeline in a bit. It takes like 1.5 years to 2 years to start really reporting and do all that. So if you're not already in progress of recording it and starting understanding your company in this process, you will be not able to show the government where you are on each of the steps. Obviously, we want to show you really more a practical approach also today. That's why we also said hey, what are the 3 ways? But since we combine the data consultancy and the sustainability consultancy together, we really merge them in a step-to-step process. These are our 8 phases we go through with our clients and where we developed also all our tooling and programs on. Which makes it really easy for the company to understand what they're going through and to make it clear also on how the financial, social and ecological department together with IT have to work towards. So we start on the left side with the project preparation. Obviously, you have to prep everyone, kickstart the company, assemble a support team for this quite big transition. We are also not making it or sugar-coated basically as it is. It's a transition in your company because all of the departments are involved, and it definitely will break down the silos in your company because you have to start talking to each other and really put communication ways, reporting ways in so that it's possible for your company. So therefore, in this first step, you have to prepare and have to look where you're standing with your company. The next 3 steps are really assembling and putting together the KPIs basically together. So the first part is the current company KPIs. So really start where you are at with your company at the moment on social, ecological, and financial terms, so that everyone finds themselves a little bit in it and understands we are actually doing quite a lot already on these topics, but hey, how to measure them and how to integrate new KPIs also in there so that it's possible to move forward. How to do that, how to start understanding the extra KPIs that are coming is through a deep dive of materiality analysis. That's a must for the government to do a materiality analysis, to be precise, a double materiality analysis. Yes, I will tell you all about it in a little second. And there you will understand which KPIs you really have to report on, because you report especially on the KPIs that are material to you, so important. So in this materiality analysis, you do a risk and opportunity analysis of your company. Then you really look at the ESRS, the European Standards for Reporting. These are basically the disclosures within the CSRD law that is like 1,141 disclosure marks basically in there, and one of them, or like a few of them, are just on CO2. So you can understand that it's quite a lot. So we always propose to our clients to start with a set that is really already in sync with the KPIs and the actions they are having, so that you can move on like very quickly to things and to other KPIs, so that it's a little bit easier for your company to adjust. Then we really connect them all together and start looking how you can measure that and what the data definition of all these KPIs are on a practical sense for your company. Then we basically move everyone to really in working groups to what the data collection should look like and what kind of challenges come up and support that in there. A unique part of you move to impact is that we say it's important to not only do this crazy transformation only for the governmental reporting, but also to develop our own steering element for your company on social, ecological, and financial level. And that is an impact dashboard. So we create an interactive impact dashboard that shows the KPIs from the CSRD that actually are success criteria for you internally and externally from your company, so that other clients also can have easy access to reporting options, so that they see what you're measuring. And then obviously prepare everything in the structure that is needed for reporting for CSRD. Now we're moving to the frequently asked questions. I know I talked a lot, so if you have some questions about like these arrow, like this moving part, drop them in the chat. But we'll move on to the frequently asked questions. So what is the materiality, the double materiality analysis? Yes.
Yeah, good question. Double materiality. It's for many people, it's a new word actually. Yeah. Materiality. It needs to get meaning still. But I will try to explain it to you so it has meaning. The materiality analysis is something that you do to see what are the risks and what are important topics to my company. So it's something that is required to do by the ESRS as well. And the way that you do that is by starting a conversation with your stakeholders. You have to do a stakeholder outreach. This is what is set in the ESRS and in the CSRD books. So one way of doing this is, for example, by doing interviews, doing a questionnaire. You can talk to sector organizations. There's different ways of interacting with all your stakeholders. But it's important to make sure you have like plenty of stakeholders around the company. You might be wondering, what are stakeholders for my company? It can be supply chain partners, upstream or downstream. It can be clients, can be banks, can be NGOs, can be government partners. It can be end users. It's basically all the players, different parties that are around the company. Those are called stakeholders. And not to forget, the internal stakeholders are also very important. So in that sense, we are checking two things. We are checking what is important, that's the materiality, and we are checking that in two ways. So we are checking what is important from the outside world that is coming into the company. So what has an important effect on the company? What social aspects, what environmental aspects can have an important effect on the company. For example, if there's a CO2 tax, it can have an important effect on the company. If you have production locations abroad, in locations that are affected by, for example, climate change, that will have an important effect on the company. If there are social aspects in some of the factories, maybe not your own factories, maybe it can be factories in your supply chain. If there's social issues there, if there's modern slavery, these type of things, it can have an effect on your company as well, because it's happening further in your supply chain. So these are things that you try to measure and try to find out by going into a conversation with your stakeholders. And in this, it's really important to have this conversation, because you do not oversee the full supply chain, and it's mandatory. So that's the one part. What effect does the external world have on my company? The second part here is the double materiality, is what effect does my company have on the external world? So in what sense do we have a significant effect on social issues, or on my own workforce, your own workforce, for example, or on environmental issues? Yeah. So in that sense, That's a really short explanation of what is double materiality in a way that you can do it.
Yeah. But yeah, indeed, let's move on to the next frequently asked question. And that is a lot. What is ESRS precisely? Like what it has to do with CSRD?
Yeah, you already said it a few times, ESRS and CSRD. There's a lot of abbreviations here. So I guess I can understand that for people, it can be hard to understand all these abbreviations. So ESRS are basically the European Sustainability Reporting Standards.
Yeah.
And the ESRS and the CSRD are in a way very much related, because the ESRS is the specific part of the CSRD. CSRD is a general directive, and the ESRS are the very specific topics and rules you have to adhere to. So these are indicators, key points that you have to measure. These are targets that you have to set for your company. For example, you will say, we are in 2030, we are there, or in 2050, we are at a certain point, and policies that you have to make. So basically, the ESRS is existing of 3 different things. And it's a broad explanation of the CSRD law.
Yeah.
What does this mean for your company? There's a whole lot of ESRS books. Actually, there's 12 here. There's 2 general, 5 environmental, 4 social, and 1 governance, as you can see in the picture. Luckily, these are not all mandatory for your company. It depends. You don't have to adhere to all these books. But at least the first 2 are mandatory for every company. So every company has to report on general part 1 and general part 2. And every company also has to report on environment part 1. So that's E1 climate, as we can see here. And every company has to report on S1 social. So that's own workforce here.
Precisely. And the other topics are taken out from the materiality analysis. So really all the topics basically that come out that you have influence on or that have influence towards your company are important to be measured. And also, it depends on the amount of employees you have. If you have under 250 employees, then less of the ESRS standards are applying. But for that, it's important to know your sector. So if you have specific questions about that, contact us and we will give you more information about that.
Yeah, for now, the important part is that the ESRS books, these 12 books, and the materiality analysis are very strong connected. And the connection is, if you do a materiality analysis and you talk with your stakeholders and you figure out some of these topics are relevant, let's say water and marine resources, or let's say workers in the value chain is an important topic, then you have to report on these books. So in that sense, the ESRS and materiality analysis are connected.
Yeah, I hope that answers also the question directly in the chat box. One of the rules also from the ESRS is that you have to show how you implemented actually the ESRS in your company. It's actually quite challenging because you have to really prove every bits and pieces basically where you adjusted policies and how you did the processes. Actually, a very handy solution which we created is an impact dashboard. This is an interactive dashboard that is connected with a visual from your company on social, ecological, and financial aspects of your vision, but also on your key data points and also the ESRS data points, which you can see on other elements of this impact dashboard. You can also find that on our website under our tooling, where you can click through the demo version also, where all the numbers are connected and you can see in real time basically how your company is doing. In that sense, you can show how your numbers are doing so that you're actually working on it in real time and that you're reporting it. So therefore it is integrated. And the second part is that you can basically show when you're going to talk with your employees and with your teams about this, so that it also shows that you actually implemented all of that in your company. That's the easiest way basically to show that. So the example timeline for CSRD, I just said it already before. It's approximately 1.5 years. We show you here the first year what the timeline looks like. The project preparation takes approximately 1.5 months, and also the current company KPIs can be a little bit connected in that sense, but together it definitely takes 2 months. Then you have to calculate for the materiality analysis, definitely something between like 3 to 6 months, depending on the complexity of your company and the amount of stakeholders from your value chain you're including. Obviously, you need time to have an idea of what the ESRS indicators are and connecting them with all the needs from your clients as well. And the data collection, the setup for the impact dashboard and the CSRD reporting are ongoing processes, which are definitely, the data collection definitely takes something about like 6 to 9 months. The impact dashboard can be done in 3 months. And the CSRD reporting, since we set everything up when you do it from our approach, that you can do it actually quite easily together, because it's an ongoing process, which you already do basically from that. So it's something about like 2-3 months. But let's go through the 3 ways how companies can prepare for CSRD, because that's what we also wanted to show you, but we wanted to first get you a general idea of what's going on with CSRD. So the first part is the consulting part, then the digital preparation form in our tooling, and then the automated materiality analysis tool. Let's dive in it. So the first way you can be supported is the normal consultancy way. And I say normal, but actually it's in that sense what you have seen from us, in that sense, the 8 steps we explained from you in the beginning. And the really important part for that also is that we are working together with accountants, that all the parts and all the elements and all the tooling we develop, which you also can see here, creates a reporting trail so that the accountant has like an easier way to check it. So in the beginning, we have like forms and templates for companies to explain like ways how they are going through this process, already have like descriptions ready for you, how our process works, so that you can fill it in. And that's easy in that sense to have that. Then we have an automated materiality analysis tool, which is connected to the ESRS standards, so that you know that really all the topics you need to ask for your company, and you have to make your decisions for measuring your KPIs are directly there, and you don't have to like balance it out of like global reporting initiative or other standards which are out there. We have a specific overview of definitions of the ESRS and disclosures that you really can see. This is the disclosure, this is the description, and this is the unit size you have to measure it in. And since we really want you to make impact and not hang your being hung up on like thoughts on what are the policies, how can we do this, and really not on the paperwork, but really do the impact with your company, we created policy templates which you can fill in to the standards of your company basically, and to the context of your company. Furthermore, I explained already the interactive impact dashboard, which obviously is connected to the results of the materiality analysis, and therefore also to the ESRS standards, which you will be measuring. And yeah, like I said, the automated materiality analysis tool will be explained from Jesse in a little bit. And as the last part is really like we have reporting templates ready so that you can fill them in, so that we can upload it in the right size. It's like IXBRL. That can be uploaded, and that it's ready for the accountant to be approved, and that you are successfully in there. And we will guide you through all of that. It's possible to start together with us in the first 2 phases, the project preparation and current company KPIs, because we say, let's date before we marry, in the sense of really check out where your company is standing and how to actually go through that. The second part is for the companies which either have crazy lot of employees and need an onboarding tool, or for companies that don't have so much resources and want to do it for themselves. The second way is our CSRD preparation program. It's an online do-it-yourself program. So if you're a sustainability manager, an IT manager, finance director or HR director, this is absolutely for you, or just a project manager to really got the task to do CSRD, this is the tool for you. It's basically like an online university program, but just directed towards the task you have to do to actually fulfill all the steps for CSRD. It's based on these 8 steps we have shown you, and it's a guidebook so that in each chapter you understand what CSRD is, you get your tasks which you have to do, so that you can really go through it in this 1.5 years and have all our practical tips, all our consultancy options also in there if you need extra consultancy support. Also all our partners from Change Consultancy, CO2 measurement elements. We're working in that with Climate Partner together. And other elements are really there so that you completely are supported, but that you also can do it yourself. Email templates, PowerPoint presentations, recorded kickoffs. You can do the kickoff, we can do the kickoff, really everything in a practical sense that you can go through it and do it yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, here you see basically a little demo of this preparation tool. It's in an LMS environment, so a learning management system that you really can see where you are, how much percentage basically of a course or of a step basically you have, and each of the 8 steps really has like their own phase and has like at least something about like 56 steps in, for example, the materiality analysis and in other parts. If you really dive into the platform, you see here that there are the videos, there are descriptions, there are some of the visuals you have seen, there are like practical steps, summaries in there. So other overviews of ESRS to dive even deeper in it, but that you have all the information like really compact together and don't have to search for it. Really all the explanations also on the 8 steps so that we start really with an overview and dive deeper basically so that you know in the beginning what you have to achieve. And then basically we show you in each step how you can do that. And in the end, we have a summary for you to really get an idea or a checklist basically if you really have done everything.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, it's really based on our practical experiences. Yeah. We noticed that a big part of explaining CSRD is often explaining the same information. So what we did is we wrote it down for ourselves very well. Mm-hmm. We read through the books as well, so I think that saves a lot of time. Yeah. We read the ESRS books multiple times, so you don't have to. And that's what we put on the platform, plus actual like practical steps in every of the every step that we made. Practical guides how to do things.
Yeah. Can we, I see the question, can you recommend to hire external consultants to completely take over the data assessment and reporting, also to reduce workload on my workforce? Yes and no. Like the thing is first to really like get the data. That's actually like the most important part, and we cannot take that over basically for you because the company itself has the relationship with the supply chain and the value chain, and that like what we hear, at least from our clients, is it doesn't feel comfortable for them that we actually like contact their suppliers or value chain stakeholders. So therefore that part we cannot take over. The assessment of the data, for example, like from the materiality analysis and the matching, definitely that can be done externally.
Yes, yeah. But when you're specifically talking about gathering data, yes, certain parts can be like taken over, like project management and these type of things. Yeah. But eventually the process can be structured by someone else, but the data is coming out of your own company. So in that sense, external consultants can do part of that process, but when the data has to come out of your own company, your own employees have to support and provide some of this data, obviously.
Yeah. Is that answering your question, Thomas?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, very good. Then we will go to the third way of preparing for materiality for CSRD, and that is preparing for the materiality analysis. Like I said, it's one of the first and important steps of CSRD. You have to do a materiality analysis, and one way of doing that is by doing that with a questionnaire. We built a questionnaire tool to send out to all your stakeholders. And I think an important step in what we did here is that we included all ESRS topics. Mm-hmm. So all the books I was just talking about, they are in here. And what this helps with is it helps with an audit trail. So later on, you can talk to your accountant and you can say, look, I can see which books are relevant for me and which books are not relevant for me because I've checked them. And here's the proof. And obviously, this can be adjusted. And in addition, to this questionnaire, you can also do some qualitative interviews with important stakeholders. But obviously, you're not going to have hundreds and hundreds of interviews because you don't have time for that. So the fastest way in gathering data in that sense is by starting with a questionnaire.
Yeah, but we definitely would say do it with the ESRS standards, that you can trail it and can say, do I have to report on specific standards or not?
Yeah. Like I said, it saves a lot of time in setting up the tool, in choosing your topics. Like I said, we have chosen the topics from the ESRS, so you are sure you are on the right track.
Yeah.
Optionally, you can add your own topics because you think like, hey, I want to also check certain topics that are maybe very specific for my company, but are not in the ESRS.
Yeah.
So in that sense, we can adjust it.
Yeah, and the thing is really on the tooling for materiality analysis, if you choose for this option, you can just start in a small way, you know, you don't have to bring up on the C-level, oh yeah, we have to do like CSRD, if they're like really resistant to that, you can start just with the materiality analysis to like really set up your company for success. And in the meantime, work a little bit on the C-level or like on the management that they really get started with that.
Yeah. So that's the front end, that's the gathering of the data from your stakeholders. What really helps is that we also developed the back end, so the whole data analysis.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do that, you just get the results in like a very nice overview in a form that you can read it. I will show you a quick part of this, what it looks like.
Yeah, I think you can directly go to the report. Yes, I think that's the important part, because the survey is really, in that sense, connected to videos that people understand how that works. But I think the reporting tool itself is the interesting part.
Well, in very short, this is the survey. But the interesting part is what comes after the survey. And this is the survey report that comes out of it. I will walk you through it, give you a short oversight. So after doing the survey, you get this information from your participants. And you can, for example, see how many people filled in the survey, which type of stakeholder filled in the survey, maybe end consumers, governments, clients. You can see how many people filled it in, what type of role they have. And of course, which is not mandatory, but a very nice way of seeing your data is with a materiality matrix. It immediately rolls out of it. So in that sense, you can see, for example, for this company, we can see discrimination scored really important. This is dummy data, so it's a little bit weird, but you can see hazardous waste scored pretty high. And there's different ways of viewing the same data. So you can say like, hey, I want to know what my external stakeholders think is important, or you can see what you think your internal stakeholders think is important.
Yeah. So therefore, you really have directly a report basically based on the survey, so that you don't have to hassle anymore. Like, oh, so where do I get a report from? No, we directly have it for you from the data. So it's synchronized and you directly can get it from there. Yeah.
So these are all different ways of looking at the same data, which topics scored highest, which are my most important topics. So which topics are material. And also, once you know they are material, once they are high scoring, you know you should probably report on them. So you need to report on these ESRS books. What I said earlier. And these are all different ways of looking at the same data. For example, risks, average, importance. So that's a very short oversight
of the reporting tool, and that basically brings us to the end of this webinar and our 3 ways. So if you have any other questions about it, you can contact us on either me, skadimobius@movetoimpact.com, or Jesse at movetoimpact.com. Also on the CSRD side on our website, you can book a time slot with us to book a demo for the specific tools, because you can use them loose and can order them also with us if you just want to go on for yourself or want to directly start tomorrow or today with the platform, because that's absolutely possible. So therefore it makes this much more flexible and possible for you to find your own way through CSRD, but also be it in a structured way and with possible support. Are there any other questions from you in the chat? We answered a couple of chat questions already. but yeah, what in that sense, the unique parts of Move to Impact is definitely that we have the data and sustainability side together in the team, which most consultancies just like externally hire, but we definitely support you in all the steps from both sides. We have the flexible tools for you so that you can choose and put together the way that is important for your company, because it's a transformation. And the other part is we really try to help you to do it yourself, and that you're not dependent on us for the next years to do that for you. We really help you to set up a structure in your company that you will be able to do that the next years on your own and report. Thank you so much, Jeroen. Yeah, I don't see any other questions in the chat. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I wish you a very nice weekend. As you can see, you can find us either on our website or go to movetoimpact.com to see a little bit more and click through the different demo versions. Thank you so much, Laurie, as well. Have all a lovely weekend and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Henk. Thanks, Chris. Bye-bye. Good weekend.